Hello everyone, thank you for watching. This is a follow-up video to the video that I previously made regarding psychological torture under the therapeutic name of holding therapy. I would like to wish everyone well watching this video. We're going through some very difficult times at the moment regarding the COVID-19 pandemic, and I would like to send everyone some well wishes and lots of love. We are still dealing with another pandemic, which is child abuse. Child abuse across the board, and more seriously child abuse in therapeutic and within the care system. Private organisations and unethical care providers have learned how to manipulate the system. They've learned how to manipulate the loopholes, and they are taking the taxpayer in this country for a ride, on top of abusing tens of thousands of children potentially. I know that there has been TV programmes made and there has been articles made. Now I know that it's been over 2 years since I have made a video, and unfortunately I would not in a position to sit here today and to tell you that I have had children's therapy regulated, or that I have held the perpetrators of holding therapy accountable in a court of law yet. That's still been an obstacle that I haven't managed to get over yet. I have, since I last made my video, I don't know if you're going to be able to see these, but I just want to be able to show them just so for myself and for yourselves, so that this is from, I will post these onto my Twitter. This is from the Ministry of Justice. It says it's to thank you for my letter, but to get back in touch with Lancashire Police. I've also contacted Downing Street. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this again. I think the glare is too much. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. 10 Downing Street, and it just, it was just, I am writing to acknowledge your recent correspondence. The Prime Minister appreciates you taking the time to write. Your correspondence has been forwarded to the relevant government department so that may reply to you in detail on the matters you raise. Unfortunately, this isn't something that, again, has come to any fruition yet, despite me going to see my local MP in the area for further help on that. I've also spoken to the Bystanders Bar, the National Crime Agency, the CPS, of Kensington Palace, Buckingham Palace, as well as raising complaints with the Bystanders Bar, the Legal Ombudsman, the Visitors Regulation Authority, and both the chambers, St John's Chambers and Foot Amnesty, which were the solicitors that were dealing with the case at the time. What I've learned is that legal aid is used as a weapon against people that use it, so that you can be forced to take sums of money out of court, and out of court settlements can be forced upon you, and that it will be said that the the barrister and the legal teams came up to a decision on their own. Now, I raised at the time that large sums of money were still made, basically that profiteering was taking place through the child abuse that I went through, and that was still something that was taking place today. Now, Tom Leaper, who was the barrister that I never met, who dealt with my claim that was going to court regarding holding therapy in the Keys Group and North Yorkshire Social Services. Now, he published an article called Current Problems with Care Claims. Now, this has since been removed from online. I have brought this to the attention that he had a biased opinion before going into my personal claim, but it's not just about me, it's about the other children that are and have been subjected to holding therapy, and that are and will be and have been forced into therapeutic environments against their will. When I was forced into holding therapy, I was told that every single problem I had in my life was down to my birth mother, and I was under the impression that my birth mother died of a heroin overdose when I was a very young child. I was under the understanding that my birth father died in prison. So that's why I was adopted, and that's why I had the problems I had. That's why I had an attachment disorder, or so they said. Now, when I was 21 years old, I was handed a very large pile of letters from my half-sister Louise. And these letters enlightened me to that I was actually from a very, very large family, and that my sister had contact with my birth father, that he was alive and well. He had gone on to remarry and have a very large, loving family of his own. I met these people. I met my family not very long after I got the letters, and despite me having quite a lot of baggage, so to speak, and a lot of problems, and him maybe not being around someone that was quite so flamboyant and openly gay, he opened me with open arms. He had my youngest brother. He was only 9-10 years old, and despite me having maybe a few drug problems, drink problems, my dad never unwelcomed me to the home. I've only met my birth mother once. It's quite a funny story. I will keep that for another time. I really just wanted to make this video to just further voice my opinion on what's happening. Now, I haven't lost my fight in the fight against forced therapy on children in care, and I certainly haven't stopped wanting with all of my heart to help children in care. I don't know if I am in a position right now to do that with my own struggles, as I am still with the diagnosis of a borderline personality disorder. This has been reconfirmed to me in the last 2 weeks, hence why I'm feeling like I really should make the video today. I have felt like making a video several times before, but unfortunately I just really haven't been in a mental place to actually make the video. So I have made the video today. I have got lots of further videos that I would like to make which address smaller sections within everything that's gone on, because I know that in the previous video I really did just explode everything that had happened because of the mental health disability diagnosis that had been made. I'd like to go into a lot more detail about how I have now found out that a disability diagnosis that's made by a psychologist for a court doesn't have to be given to the person, hence why I have been living for 5 years with a mental health disability, yet never been treated, because the legal system has been aware of it and they have addressed the problem, whereas it's taken the NHS a little bit longer to catch up. I really haven't wanted to blame the NHS for anything. They do their best, but they are overwhelmed, and because of housing situations, addiction situations, etc, 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 it's very difficult for it all to fall into place. So I don't want to blame the NHS in any way, shape or form, as I do believe that this is something that was done by the private sector, and that this is something that should be addressed through the courts, through the legal system, as if I do need further treatment and I do need further medical care. This is something that both North Yorkshire Council are insured for, the Keys Group are insured for, and that my solicitor should have made sure that I was compensated for, to make sure that I get the help that I need. Now, why that's so important is that there are X amount of further children that are not been diagnosed, that haven't had their abuses taken seriously, and that are also being swept under the rug, which means that there are people out there today, right now, that if this isn't further heard, are suffering unnecessarily, and they don't understand why. And that is what is so important, is that imagine having all of the mental trauma of your childhood placed upon you and never being able to get out of that post-traumatic stress, but it never being addressed. If you're raped, unfortunately it happens. You go to the police station, you can go to your friends, you might not want to go to the police. A lot of people don't, and I understand that as well. But the point of the matter is that there's not a way for people to express about therapeutic abuse. Now, we are slowly starting the conversation about conversion therapy, and we're starting to talk about some religious conversion therapies, which are quite traumatic, but we need to talk about the forced therapies that are placed upon children that are on care orders. They don't have a choice. They are being brainwashed, they are being psychologically tortured. They are not just being placed into forced therapies, they are also being placed into regimes where they are violently restrained if they do not follow the strictest of rules. They are forced how to dress, they are forced when to wash, they are given strict places how to eat when they're not allowed to eat, they're not allowed to socialise, they're not allowed to go to different events. These are the small things that psychologically damage children. So when they're thrown out of care at 16 years old, they do not have the coping mechanisms, they do not have the social network, and they do not have the skills that are needed to survive. And these are why these people fall into a system of abuse, addiction, and further abusers. These people are easily groomed into trafficking, sex crime, prostitution, and addiction, whether that be selling drugs or becoming an addict. It breaks my heart. I know a lot of people don't experience care on a first-hand basis, and I know a lot of people actually really understand the depths of how dark care really is. You are confronted with a different care worker pretty much every day. They're usually agency staff. They don't want to be there. They know you don't like them. They don't really like you. And a lot of these people are 22, 23, 24-year-olds that are still at university, that are still learning about the system's approach on mental health. This is something that I want to further read about and I want to further educate myself on. I have been reading a lot about trauma, and I understand that trauma is a complex situation. I feel like that most children that are in care are going to have some severe trauma. I believe that the chemical bond that is given between a birth mother and a birth father is a subject that needs to be addressed quickly. I think that the section of adoption and forced adoption is a subject that also needs to be addressed, that I would like to address personally, as I went through a failed adoption because of sexual abuse and physical abuse. These are further videos that I want to make. I want to keep this video quite short today, but I just didn't want people to think that I'd just dropped the whole subject matter and this was a one-off video. I really did want to come back with substance, and I wanted to come back with more than I actually have come back with today. And I'm sorry that I haven't done more. I have written thousands of letters, not thousands, maybe 50, I'm sorry, but I've written, you know, letters to every single major person that I thought if I'd have written a letter to, that they would help me. That is the Queen, princes, prime ministers, Department of Justice, Ministry of Defence, Crown Prosecution Service. I've really pushed myself as far as I can physically push myself, to the point where I have made myself quite unwell. I am feeling a lot better, I'm feeling very strong, and I realise that I find a lot of my strength through the possibility of being able to help people that have been further in my situation. So there's not a lot of things you can do at the moment. If you would like to follow this journey further and you've liked this video, please like. I would like to say a massive thank you, and I want to send some love to all of the people that the previous video affected. We had quite a lot of conversations. I didn't realise that holding therapy had been something that had taken place in other countries other than England and America and Canada. It's very sad to hear that this practice has gone far and wide, but together we are all stronger. The childcare abuse cannot continue, and we cannot continue to post pictures online of our perfect little lives. That's all bullshit, excuse my language. That's when we are all well aware of the fact that there are children being abused by the thousands on a daily basis and no one cares. But that's not the truth. We know that people care. We need to be strong with our voices, and we need to do more. So until next time, I will say goodnight. Thank you very much.